Welcome to Brain Vision.
So, the simplest definition of resistance is something that opposes the flow of current. So, if something like the voltmeter here has a uh, has a high resistance, then the current flowing through it will be zero. So, by calling the voltmeter high resistance, we can assume that it has no current passing through it. Now we can write Kirchhoff's loop rule for the circuit for both the cases, and we start with the negative pole of the battery and we proceed counterclockwise. So for case 1 we have voltage of the meter, let's call it V1 to be equal to I1 R1, and therefore the EMF minus I1 R1 minus I1 capital R1 is equal to 0. So this is Kirchhoff's loop rule for this for circuit for the first case. Now if we plug this equation over here, we get, so basically we find I1 and plug the value of I1 from here. So let me just write that. So this is what we get solving this equation. Now if we plug this value, if we calculate I1 from here, so I1 will be V1 over R1, and plug that expression over here, so we'll get the EMF to be V1 over R1 times small r1 plus capital R1. So this is the EMF for the first case. Now for the second case, again we have voltage of the meter, let's call it V2, and that is equal to I2 times R2. And similarly, like we did here, the Kirchhoff's loop rule will be I2R. So the internal resistance stays the same. So let me just write R2 now, or let's just write R for the internal resistance. And since the internal resistance is same, we can use a common notation for both, which is small r. So let's go with that. So this is the Kirchhoff's loop rule for the second case, and from here, so we basically combine these two equations just like we did here to get the EMF to be V2 over R2 times small r plus R2. Now these two are basically the same values. The EMF is same. So V1 over R1 times small r plus R1 is equal to V2 over R2 times small r plus R2. So solving this, we can find R. So you have to do a little bit of juggling in order to uh, express this for R, in order to get an expression for small r. So that comes out to be R1 R2 times V2 minus V1 over V1 R2 minus V2 R1. Now we can plug the values of R1, R2, V1 and V2. So let me just write the values that we will be plugging. So R1 is 35 ohms, R2 is 14 ohms, V2 is given to be 8.1 volt, and V1 is 9.7 volts. So now we plug these four values in this equation and solve it, and we find small r after solving this equation to be equal to 5.308 ohms. 5.308 ohms. Now we can plug this value of r, small r, in either of these two equations to find the EMF. So I am choosing to use this one. You can use this one as well. The answer, the result should come out to be same, because these are basically the same equation. We use these two to solve for r, so doesn't really matter which one you pick in order to solve for the EMF. So now we plug the value of r, small r, that we calculate here, that we just calculated here, and doing that we get the EMF to be equal to 11.17 volts, 11.17 volts.